Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2018 August kits today. I'm going to start this with a cut file and lots of blue and green papers. I decided to go with a monochromatic color scheme. It's mostly blue with just a little bit of green added in, and this is one of the August subscriber cut files, I think, and Audrey designed it. And they're these wonky circle flowers, and they come with different size circles with this fun geometric design in the middle, and then also some leaves. And so you could use these as flowers or circles or whatever, get totally creative with them. But I just cut some different sized ones on some different blue pattern papers in the kits, and then I used the green aqua colored cardstock from the cardstock kit to cut the leaves on. And so that's where I'm going to start. And usually, you know me, I love pinks and yellows, but I decided to kind of go with a masculine color scheme. And so I started playing around here with some layering, and I just realized that some of my video was cut off. I did some fussy cutting. Where did that footage go? The mystery of the lost footage. Anyway, I fussy cut some flowers out. I know I recorded that. Who knows? It's from the crepe paper. There's 2 crepe paper sheets in the kits that have beautiful florals on them. And so one of them is all blue and white, and you can see there I cut 2 big flower clusters from that, and then I also cut some of the dark green leaves from one of the other pattern papers. And then I'm just going to start to kind of play around and arrange this on my layout. I printed out a black and white photo of me and my husband, and it's going to sort of just go right there in the middle. And I just had this idea of doing lots of layers tucked in and around the photo and just kind of letting the photos stand out. And I didn't want all this to move once I got it organized, so I'm very carefully going through and gluing it all together. So when I move most of it, it's going to be just one big thing, and I don't have to worry about reassembling it later because I'll never get it back the way I have done it this first time. And I have to admit that it's taken me 4 days to get this layout finished, mainly because I've changed my mind 3 times. I started one idea, spent several hours on it, didn't like it. The next day, came back, started a different one, and then in the middle of the night, later that night, I got a new idea. And so I just kept starting over. It was one of those weird weeks where I kept just, nothing worked. So this is the end result. Anyway, I am going to use that white cardstock as my background, and you know I have to add some mixed media to it, and so I covered it with some clear gesso, and then I'm going to use the stencil that came from the color kit this month, but I'm trying to kind of use it as a stamp. I love how it looks when you color a stencil or spray some color on it and then flip it over and then use it as a stamp. It's a totally different look than just spraying right through it. And so that's kind of where I wanted my starting point to be. And I'm using the Well Blue Me Down shimmers that is also in the color kit. It's a beautiful flat aqua color. And then I'm going to add in some of the Oaky Bear Blue, which is also a shimmers, but it's more of a shimmery, darker, almost navy-ish blue. And I'm just going to add that in and do the same thing, except I'm going to brush that one on since it comes in the little pot there. And then since I added that gesso, I'm able to kind of wet it with some water and then use my brush to kind of smudge it around a little bit. So my mixed media part of this is going to be sort of this diagonal direction, I guess, from the upper left corner to the bottom right. And I'm kind of doing everything that all my practice is right there in the middle. So that's going to be covered up. And so the part that I want you to see is going to be in the corner areas. This is the 3rd color that we get in the color kits. It's called Minor 49er, and it is a beautiful gold. Almost, I would call it pretty close to Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine as far as the color, the shimmer, and the finish goes. It's just a different consistency. It's in these little pots, and so it's not a spray, but it is beautiful. And I added some of that in as well. And now I'm just going to continue to work with all the blue things that I pulled from the kits. I pulled out Project Life cards. I did some stitching here off camera. I took a break. I don't know if you can see that. I did it with gold, and it's just kind of a fancy zigzag stitch. I just did that for some detail at the top and the bottom. And now I'm going to just start to play around with the background. I'm going to use one of those crepe paper pom-pom frames as a layer. I'm going to use the blue one. And what I did was I went through all the kits that I got and just basically pulled out everything that was blue. And I use a lot of it, and then a lot of it is still in my stash. So yeah, I'm just going to start to layer. And obviously the everything around the photo is pretty busy. And so I don't want to go overboard with embellishing. My goal now is to do things that are going to make the photo stand out and not get lost against all of those flowers. So I kind of unstuck or pulled apart the left part of that cluster so I could move it, because once I start putting layers behind my picture, more of those flowers and leaves are going to get covered up. And so I wanted to kind of pull it apart so it'd be a little bit more visible. And then I'm going to go back in with some of the loose leaves that I cut and start to stick those in here and there. And I didn't feel like it needed a lot of mixed media in the background, because the leaves and the flowers, you know, they take up a lot of space and they're very dark and bold. And I just wanted the background to sort of be an accent and not something that would compete with it or overpower it. I'm finally going to use one of those cute little fringe sticker pieces from crepe paper. I'm going to use it as a subtle layer behind the bottom of the picture. And I felt like I wanted to add a little bit more of that gold, and so I'm just going to use my brush to kind of add some of that here and there, and it's going to add lots of shimmer and shine with a slight hint of gold. And the thing about the shimmers and the little pots there is the more water you add and the longer you let it sit, it's going to become a lot thicker. And so once the paint really softens up and becomes all liquid, it's going to be nice and thick. And so if you use it right away when you first spray the water in there and it's still hard, you're only going to get a little bit of that top layer, and it's going to be a lot runnier and it's going to be a lot lighter. And so it just depends on how dark you want your color. So now I'm going to work on little accents here. I'm going to use a little piece of these gold clear crepe paper stickers, and I really like these wreaths. I thought they would make a pretty subtle circle look. Since I've already got some circle elements going on, I'm going to use a couple of those, and they add just the right amount of shine. I wish there were a ton more of those clear stickers in the gold and the black, because they are awesome. I had a couple of little leaves left, so I'm going to tuck in some of those. And one of the biggest things I struggled with on this layout was what I wanted my title to be, because this was just a fun, cute selfie of me and my husband. And, you know, I think I've used love you, love this, love us, this is us, he has my heart, you know, all of those things, which all of those titles are fine. I just feel like I use them so much that I really wanted to come up with something unique and different. So that's one of the last things that I do. Now I wanted to use this green floral, what's more of an aqua color, but it's more green than blue, tag, and the little white circle piece there that goes around the hole was a light pink, and I did not want any pink on this layout, and so I just colored it with some white paint, and then I added a little bit of twine or cord, whatever that stuff's called, to finish off the tag. And now I'm going through the crepe paper stickers. I'm going to add that little blue bird and that little green butterfly up at the top, and then a couple of these little teeny tiny blue flowers and leaves. They're so cute, they're so little. And then I've been wanting to use this metallic gold heart, though those aren't hearts, stars trim, and so I'm just going to cut them up and scatter them around and tuck them in little spots around the layout. They give the greatest pop of shiny gold. So pretty. And I'm getting asked more and more often what kind of glue I use in my fine liner bottle there. That is the Scotch Tacky Glue, and I get that from Michaels. It used to be called Scotch Quick Dry, but they changed the name and they changed the label on the bottle. But to me, it looks the same and it works the same, and does not come in that bottle there. That bottle comes empty, and I got that bottle from, they're available at Hobby Lobby and Amazon. So here I go with my genius title. I finally gave up and just went with "Love You So Much." And I actually hadn't used that phrase yet, even though it's, you know, not the most exciting title. But sometimes, I guess, you know, it's fine. You don't have to have the most clever title. Sometimes I amaze myself, with the help of Pinterest, of course, and I come up with some really fun titles. But then other days, I'm like, you know what? Nope, "Love You So Much." It's true. Might as well use it. I mean, I have the "love you" there on the sticker sheet, and I wanted to use those black thickers. So, yep, that's the title. And I'm going to add in a couple of the crepe paper puffy stickers, a little flower and a heart. And then a couple more of these black clear stickers. I love all the different fonts on those. I wish those came in a giant sheet of all kinds of different things, because that's the kind of sticker sheet I will leave on my desk and use on pretty much any layout and every layout. And the rest of this is just adding in more teeny tiny details. I wanted to make that always stand out a little more against the background, so I rub in a little bit of white gesso back there to kind of whiten things out. And then add glue behind most of the stickers. The thickers stick really well, but anything else, I try to add some glue behind. Now, I wanted to do just something small at the top and the bottom, and I thought about using my punches, but it didn't go deep enough. Like, you wouldn't really be able to see anything behind, like this blue Project Life card. And so I punched it, but then I cut it, and then it wound up not being able to punch anymore. So I just kind of punched and cut and made this really messy, jaggedy looking, whatever you want to call that, little area where you can see something peeking through. And I just went with some blue Project Life cards just for some messy little edge detail there. And then I really like this piece here. I'm going to cut it and tear it and use it as a little embellishment. And I think it has a little spot for a date, but I'm going to write some words in there and then use it down there in the bottom right hand corner. More stickers. I do create just a small, not even a cluster, I wouldn't call it a cluster, just some stickers and a little puffy heart up at the top. And you're not going to believe this. Brace yourselves. I don't believe it either. I didn't even realize this until after I had photographed this layout. I do not use any thread on this layout. I could not believe it. I had the thread out. It's right there to the right. You just can't see it. And I just forgot to put the thread on the layout. And what do you know? I still like the way it looks. So mark this day down in Missy history. A layout with no tangled thread. It kind of hurts my heart. No, it really doesn't. I'm just kidding. But I didn't use any thread. I can't believe it. Look at that. Amazing. And it still turned out. That's the final layout. I really like how it turned out. It was fun to challenge myself to not use pinks and yellows, but there are a ton of pretty blues in this kit. So I felt like it had to be done, and I was just in the mood to do it. And so there you go. There's all the details. I love the pops of gold and all those little pops of black. This was a lot of fun to make once I finally settled on the idea. So let me know if you have any questions about the kits, the techniques, or if you're just completely amazed that I made a layout with no thread. I know I am. I can't believe it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great week.